Hello. I wanted to just do a sort of general GitHub, GitHub Desktop, Git, and maybe even a little bit of Unix stuff. And I'm going off the cuff here, so we'll see how it goes. But if you are just checking into this and you haven't got Git installed or GitHub Desktop, I'll link to a series of videos that will help you get started. But basically, I'm using GitHub Desktop. I'm using Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to show using Git from the command line, from Visual Studio Code, and from this GitHub Desktop. So first, actually, I'm going to change to a different repository. So I guess that's one thing to start with, is that if you're using GitHub Desktop, the repository that you're currently on, so basically the directory or folder that Git is keeping track of, will show up right here at the top. And you can switch to other ones that you've cloned, or you can clone new ones. If you go to File and then say Clone Repository, that means that anything that you have on github.com, you can clone down to your machine. And you want to kind of think of your GitHub account as being the source of truth. So like where things should actually live. You shouldn't consider the files on your computer as the sort of source of truth. It's just the place that you work, and then you're hosting your files on the internet, in our case on github.com. So here are my repositories, and I don't know, I'll just clone one. Maybe, I don't know what to clone. I'll just clone this somewhere. So this is a repository of JavaScript games that I coded. So I'm going to copy this link. It's the HTTPS clone link. Where you're working, you may be using SSH, but I'll be using HTTPS for this. So I'm going to click on this copy URL, and then I can go to GitHub Desktop, and I can say File, Clone a Repository, and then I have a couple options. It'll give me a list of my repositories on github.com. I have a lot of them, so I will just go to URL, and you can paste in that the folder. And I already have this somewhere, so I'm just going to choose a different location. I'll just put it somewhere terrible like my desktop, and I can call this whatever I want. I'll just call it JS Games. You want to make sure you avoid spaces and just try to avoid uppercase when at all possible. So now I'm cloning this to my desktop. And so now this repository is a folder. It's on my desktop. If I go to view files in my Finder and I click here, it will show me that on my desktop, I have a folder called JS Games. Now, I also have this folder. I've cloned it before, and it lives here. So it's wacky, but I could theoretically, it would be a terrible idea, but I could change files in here, go to that repository in GitHub Desktop, check things in, and then go to the other one. Maybe I'll do a merge conflict with that later. But basically, you're cloning things down, but really the important thing is that your repositories live up here. And it's important when you're using Git to get used to just always having things pushed up to the web as often as you can. So let's see. Let's make a change to the desktop file. So I'm going to I'll just add the folder to this workspace. A workspace is a file that you can create that kind of saves all of your settings for that kind of session. So in this workspace, it's mostly this PSU interactive media, but I've just ended up adding a whole lot of other things to this. So I'm just going to add another folder to it. Add folder to workspace, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to click on JS Games and add. And then it will show up in my list somewhere. There it is. JS Games. Let's just make a change to the index. So this is what the page looks like right now. I right-clicked and I'm opening in the live server. So here's my live server. I don't know what to change. Let's see how it is on mobile. Maybe we can do a mobile fix. It's not too bad. Maybe we'll just add color for fun. All right, so maybe JS Games, I'll just add an underline or something to that. So that's the H1. I'm going to do border bottom instead of text underline, just for fun. Pixel solid black. Cool. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Maybe some padding bottom to put some padding between the border and the text. Padding bottom. I don't know. Probably way too much. Where'd you go? There you are. Cool. So a little bit of padding. I've made a change. I want to just show you that in Visual Studio Code, there's this little, it looks like a frog that's missing some digits. This will show you all of the changes that are sort of waiting to be checked in. So let's see. This is all for in my app game. And these are all the changes that have occurred lately. Let's see. Oh, that's the history. There we go. And currently the changes are main clock. There's like such a mess here. Clock next. Oh, this is like all of the different repositories. So let's scroll down. JS Games. I have changed the index.html. Where's my... Oh yeah, all the style is in there. So this is showing me the changes that I've made to my index.html file. So there's this is showing me that there's like 2 lines that have been added, and I can check things in here. As you can see, I have a lot of different repositories in this one folder, but this is my JS Games repository. We could probably open it up and see it a little more clearly. So it's on the main branch, which is sort of the default branch. And yeah, then I can go to GitHub Desktop and I will see the same change. So on line 20 and 21, I have new lines added. I can update either here or there, and the same thing will happen. Like if I update here, it'll refresh and show the changes here, or vice versa. So let's just do it from this side from the first time. So I'm going to say added 2 lines of CSS. I'm going to commit that. And then we should see over here that we have like committed the changes, and then it's ready for me to sync. Yeah, so it first says commit and then it says sync. So now if I go over to GitHub Desktop, I can say over here it says push commits to the origin remote. That means the remote that I've set up to be sort of my source of truth, which in this case is that GitHub repository. So I'm going to say push origin, and that is going to basically push my changes up to GitHub. So now if I go back up to GitHub and I refresh my page, and I refresh my page, where'd you go? Refresh. I see that 1 minute ago, I added 2 lines of CSS. So there's my comment. And if I open it, I can see my changes are here. So now I know that my remote is up to date. Now let's jump over to the command line. And I'm just going to do a bit of Unix commands. You move around by using CD, which means change directory. So right now we are in a folder called sites, in a folder called students that lives in a folder called sites. And this tilde means this is my home directory, which in my case means it is in users Alana. So if I go up here and I right click on sites, you can see that it's in a folder called Alana, which is in a folder called users on my hard drive. And tilde is, it's a really good shortcut to kind of get home. So you can say cd space tilde and then return. And that is going to take me to my Alana folder. And I can see where I am by saying pwd, which stands for print working directory. So there I am, users Alana. If I want to see what's inside this, I can say ls. That will give me this kind of crazy view, but that's all the folders that are available in my user folder. I can also say ls space -al, and that's going to list all the files, including any invisible ones. So it also shows me all of the read-write privileges for each and every file and folder. So if I look through here, I didn't realize how much stuff I have on my my user. Well, that makes sense, I guess. I'm going to go and see where it has all these dots. These are like generally invisible files that I can see because I've done that A part of the thing. So I want to go to the desktop. Unix is very case sensitive. So I'm going to say cd space uppercase D desk. And then if I do tab, it'll probably find the rest of that. So there I am. Another way you can use Unix is if I go to my Finder and I'm going to go to desktop. Where's my desktop? There it is. I can actually just drag that folder onto my my terminal, and that will put in this address. I forgot to say CD first. You need to say CD and then you give it the location and see how it filled in the entire path. So it starts with users. That's the first kind of folder on my hard drive, and then Alana desktop JS games. So if I hit enter, it's going to say basically it replaces users Alana with that tilde. And here's my JS games folder. I can do an ls-al and see all the files inside here. So there is a folder called Git, which is basically, it keeps track of all of my Git changes. So all my commits, all of my histories, they're saved in this folder. So if we do a cd.git, and I do an ls-al, we can see that there's like all my commit messages. There's the head, which is basically like the where you're currently located, like in the history of file changes. I can see all the branches associated with my my repository. I can see my config, all this stuff. I think if I do vi is a text editor. If I do vi config, it'll open it up and show me the URL. It'll show me, I've got some like aliases set up, but yeah, it shows me that this is my origin. So github.com, Alana Reese. And I have a main branch. Yeah, so that is basically how this specific repository is set up. I'm going to do Control X, escape, quit, exclamation point. Okay. Yeah, and this is exactly the same view as if I go to my Finder and I go in here, I'll see the same exact files. I have my computer set up so I can see invisible files. So I can open this up and see all of the different files and folder associated with Git. That is in your preferences. You can do a Google search on how to view invisible files on a Mac, and same thing on a PC. So this basically matches this. It's just a different way to get there and a different way to view it. So, and then let's see, GitHub Desktop, same thing basically. Like this repository lives on the Finder somewhere. You can always go to show in Finder. I think you can also, yeah, if you right click on the name of the repository, you can say reveal in Finder. You can have it open right up in your terminal. And so here it is in our terminal again. And then you can even jump right to the remote that's been set up. So I can say view on GitHub and it'll take me right to that repository. So that's just sort of like the maneuvering, getting around bit of it. Also on GitHub, you can see the history. So if I click on, let's see, I haven't looked at this for a while, but this is the commit for this last bit of changes. Let's see, where can I get to? It has only one branch. It's got 11 commits. There we go. So if I click on 11 commits, I can see all of my last 11 commits that I've done on this. So yeah, I added the game breakout. I fixed a delay problem. You can kind of see all of this stuff. And these are unique SHAs. So they allow you to jump back and forth. I'm not going to do that in this video, but I can show in other videos how to like revert back to an older commit. But this that number is a unique SHA that you can use to jump back and forth. So the commit, is right here. And then let's see, what else? Another thing about GitHub is that you have a bunch of tabs. So you have code tabs. You can actually store a sort of list of issues that you want to change and fix. This is a handy place to kind of keep your list of to-do items. If you're just working on a small project, a lot of times the issues will actually get fed in from another database if you're working on a larger team, and will be they'll be connected to a database. So when you fix the issue, it will update in the database depending on what system you're using. I'll talk about pull requests in a second. Actions is a new workflow tool that is used for, I think, doing like build deployments. And I haven't played with it a lot, but it's fairly new and exciting and good for larger projects. And then projects is a good way to, another way to like organize your repository. I think I have one for PSU Interactive Media that I started. So if we go, yeah, I have one project for this. And I just have things listed that I want to get done. I believe you can also feed issues into this so that you can kind of keep track of them in a bigger screen, larger project file. So there is projects. What else? Let's go back to, where we go? We'll just go back to JS Games. Okay, maybe we won't. JS Games. There we go. Cool. So here's our JS Games repository. One thing that's really nice that was added a couple years ago is you can add a link to your project. So if I click About, I can enter a URL, and because this is a folder inside my home directory, like my GitHub pages home directory, I can say https://alanareese.github.io, and then the URL to get to the JS Games is just going to be the folder name. And as long as I have a valid index.html file in there, that's all I need to add. Actually, this is probably the faster way. Yeah, it just fills it in for you. And I can add topics if I want. I could add a bunch of information about the project, but I'm going to save this. And now I have a really handy dandy link to go straight to the live site. Whoa, that looks weird. I have no idea what's going on there. Oh, I was just zoomed in really big. Okay. So yeah, that is GitHub Desktop. You can star your repositories or other people's repositories, and this pin allows you to pin your repository to your home page. So I have kind of a fancy home page where I've created a file called Alana Reese, and I've added all these like cool pills, but this is where your pinned repository is. No matter what your homepage looks like, you can pin your repositories here. So if I pinned, let's go back. You can only have 4 pinned at a time, so I'm not sure that this will work, but if I say pin this, and then I go back here, oh yeah, I guess you can have 6 at least, it looks like. Cool. Let's see, what else? This shows your activity. I was real sleepy this summer, and I've just been pretty sporadic. But this basically shows your activity. Each green square means that there was some activity on that day of the year, and the darker the square, the more activity there was. So it looks like February 22nd was a big day for me. Let's see, what else? That's kind of it for your repository page. When you're on your home page, you have different tabs. So you've got all of the repositories that you've starred. You've got all the projects that are associated with your account. You've got a list of all your repositories. And then you've got this overview page. If you want to make a cool profile page like this, it's in the GitHub documents, and I can link to some like fancy profile links in the video. Let's see, what else? Basically, you work locally, you push it up to the server. If you like totally mess up and you want to just bring down the last thing that you changed, like the last thing that you checked in, you can literally just this is kind of the easy way. If I delete this folder and I go back here, it's going to say, I don't know where this folder is because I deleted it. I can just say clone again, and it'll just get a fresh version from the internet. That's kind of the easy way to do it. You can also delete it from here. So you can say remove, and you can say, I also want to move the repository to the trash. So that'll delete the folder as well on your computer. And then say remove, and that's just removing it locally. To remove it from GitHub, you have to actually, let's go to one that I should probably delete anyway. Like this one was just like a test one to show in class. So I'm going to click on this repository, and come on, repository. There we go. In settings for the repository, I can go down to the very, very bottom in the danger zone, and I can say there's a bunch of things you can do. You can make it private, which means nobody can see your code or get to your site. You can transfer the ownership of the repository. You can archive it, which is sort of like the soft delete. So it's archived, but not completely gone, or you can delete it. So this is if you're really certain you don't ever want to see this again. So I'm going to say delete. I want to delete this, yes. And it warns me again that this will go away forever and ever. I read and understand, and now I have to type this out because they really want to make sure that you want to delete this. So type in the whole name of the repository in the box, and then, did I do it right? Yeah. Hit delete, and it is gone forever. Confirm access. I have to use a passkey. This is annoying. I'll be back. All right, so as you can see, they really want you to make sure that you want to delete it. So let's do another change, and I'll just show you what it looks like to change things in the command line versus Visual Studio Code or versus the GitHub Desktop app. So maybe we'll just add, let's see, I'll just change it to, I don't know what to change. I'll just make this a different color, I guess. JavaScript games, H1 color. We'll just make a simple change. So now in Visual Studio Code, it says there is, let's see, wrong repository, working tree. Where am I? Next, it should be showing up. Clock. Interesting. Did I think it's because I deleted it. Yeah, I think it's gone. So it's like, I don't know what file you're changing right now. All right, let's change. I don't know. We'll change clock main. Oh, nothing there. Okay, we'll change this page. So let's see. I'll just add something to my 404. These are not the droids you're looking for. I don't know. 404 page not found. Just something simple. Okay, so now this should show up in here under Alana Reese. If I go in here, it has one commit. I never use VS Code, you can probably tell. It should show me that I changed H1. That should go back to the last change. It's just showing it with this little local changes, one of one change. Okay. So anyway, there's a change here. Let's jump over to the terminal, and I'm just going to go cd tilde to go back to home. And then I know that I have a folder called sites and that this folder is inside there. So I'm going to say cd sites. I can see where I am now. I can say cd Alana Reese. And then this, I have a bunch, so it's going to beep at me, but it's going to try its best. So I'm going to hit enter. This is where I want to be. And now I can say git status. That's going to tell me that, oh, interesting. It doesn't think that I have a commit. Let's see where this is. Let's start over here. Bum, bum, bum. Where are you? Open in Finder. Okay, sites Alana Reese. Cool. Maybe I updated something else. I did. I don't know where I was. Homework. I'll just say assignments just to change it quickly. Now if I go here, it should show up. Changes, index. There it is. Okay, that looks more normal. I have no idea what page I just changed. It must have been on PSU Interactive Media. Anyway, so let's go back here. I'm now in a directory that does have a change. If I want to go back to the last command I did, I can just do the up arrow. And it says that I have, let's see, changes are not staged for commit yet. So I need to say git add and the file name. So it says I've modified this page. I don't have to say git add and then every file I've changed. I can just say git add dot, and that is a wildcard that will just add everything. So now if I say git status again, it says changes to be committed. It says that this is a modified file. Now it's in green because it's ready to go. So then I'm going to say git commit. And then I'm going to do an inline message. I could just say git commit and then it would ask me to add a message, probably using the VI code editor. But I just want to do an inline message. So I'm going to say -m and then single quote, added a word. You want to avoid putting apostrophes in here. So if I did added words, it would get all weird if I hit enter. You have to escape them. It's just easier to get into the habit of just not using weird characters. Yeah, so there's my commit message. I'm going to hit return, and there's the file that I changed. So now this is just local. It's not on github.com. It just means like there's a timestamp of history on my computer. So if I want to push it up to github.com, first let's just go up to that repository right there. So I can verify that it was not committed. Last time was 3 days ago. And now I can say git push. Sometimes you have to say upstream -u origin remote if you don't have one set, but I have one set already. So if I say git remote, this is the origin, or the origin, let's see, git remote -v will give me all of the information. So I have an origin for fetching my files, which means getting them down, and I have an origin for pushing my files, which means pushing them up to GitHub. And this is where they go, and this is where they come from. So you can have different ones. So now I'm going to say git push, and it's going to know to push it up to origin. And now if I go back and refresh, I should see that 1 minute ago, I changed the index.html. So let's mess up a message, because that happens a lot. Homework. If I change just the capitals, it's not going to see that. Oops, I just like duplicated the line. That's cool. So I'm just going to say my homework assignments. Oh, look, there's that. Oh, it's showing me my changes. That's why. Get back to files. Index. Okay, there we go. Files. Cool. Yeah, that was showing me what changed. That's why I was like, wait, now there's 2 of them. So if I go here, it shows this was the old one and this is the new one. So back to files, and I am going to, there we go. I'm going to commit this, but I'm going to break my message. So I'm going to say git add everything, and then git commit -m changed lots o stuff. If I try to enter this, it's going to get this weird caret. Your best bet is to say Control-C. That just gets you out of it, and you can try again. So I'm just going to use my arrows to back out that apostrophe, and now I can commit, and then I can say git push. So this is one nice thing about using GitHub Desktop or using VS Code to check things in, is that you won't run into kind of funky things like that. All right. I've been talking too much, so I'm going to check this in. And I hope that helped you kind of get a little more used to Git and GitHub and how they work. But Git is basically a software program that is running on your computer. It's running on the GitHub Desktop or the github.com website. And it is the software that controls checking things in and out and adding them to like a history of changes. GitHub is a website that uses Git to have remotes for repositories, and GitHub Desktop is a GUI version of that sits on top of the Git app, which is a Unix-based app. So this is kind of like Git in its purest form. This app basically just does the things that Git does without having to know any Unix commands, and is more visual. And like Visual Studio Code is similar. Like they have made it a little easier to use Git to check things in and out. All right. Thank you.